Get started with a few people that we probably recognize. Anybody do the voice? Nobody can do it well, but that's okay. I can't either. So let's. I want you to walk me through these a little bit. What can you just kind of start off? Just tell me something about these images.
Sad.
There's not a right or wrong here. Okay, they're sad. Anything else that just comes to mind, pops to mind, Sana?
I think this is a suggestion that wildlife is being harmed.
Wildlife is being harmed. You trust Sana to kind of dig a little. One-word answers. I will give you a thesis, and it's awesome. I love it. Now, how can you tell they're sad? How can you tell that these animals are in distress? In the back here.
Just they're like mostly in their eyes.
The expression in the eyes?
Yeah.
All right, expression in the eyes and the eyebrows. Eyebrows are actually really important for our development because they're incredibly communicative. That's why your dog can kind of make you understand when your dog is sad. Dogs kind of have an eyebrow ridge. Cats just kind of have stuff up here. You're like, I don't know what you want. Are you purring? Then you're mad at me. I don't know. How else can we tell that they're upset, that they're in distress?
The fox's ears are kind of back a little bit.
The fox's ears are back. Oh, I should have had on. Did you ever see Chappie?
Yes.
Did you ever see Chappie?
Yeah.
There's no reason whatsoever for the antenna to be the way they are on Chappie. And when they were asked about the character design, the character designers were like, yeah, because we could manipulate his ears, his antenna, and help convey these emotions.
Also, sort of like the way they're like placed in their sort of body language.
Their body language, it's a box. But you're not wrong. Yeah, all of these things. How does Simba feel? Cocky. I don't know if you can feel, I guess you can feel cocky. But yeah, it's a great word to go with. Smug. Smaug, actually. No. Smug, arrogant, all of this. Right? It just, you can't help but hear Jonathan Taylor Thomas's voice and wonder what happened to his career. Right. But again, what are the ways what are the things that allow you to empathize with these characters? Vastly different, not only from what we just saw, but even from each other, different emotional ranges that are going on. What is it that allows you to connect with them? What is it that conveys to you those things?
The anthropomorphized.
The anthropomorphized versions of it. So let's break those apart specifically, some of the things that we're seeing. Yeah, the anthropomorphized, giving the human traits, the personage qualities too.
The eyes and the brow movement.
Eyes and brow movement, we see that again, absolutely.
Using his paw with a human hand, like that's how a human would motion himself like aligned with it.
Even moving away from the face, we can start to see the limbs being used more in the way that we start to use these things. Yeah? All right, so those two. How about these two? What's going on in these pictures? Or what's about to go on in these pictures? But what is it that allows these to immediately be recognized and empathized with? I want to hear from new people.
The eyes again, the way that they're leering.
Leering. We do. They are leering. They are both leering. And that eye line. At least Lumiere has the decency to look her in the eyes. But they're up here, bugs. Come on. Come on. But again, we see all of this body posture. We see all of these human traits and human qualities of the feelings that not only are these characters experiencing, but that they help to evoke in us. Not only are these all animated, not only are most of these, in fact, Disney, but they're all, maybe not so much what do they have in common as what they are, but what are none of these examples?
Humans.
People, yeah, who have no human examples. In comic book form, and we just, feeling bad for this poor Autobot. And it's there's one point of light. There's no facial expression whatsoever. You can't say the eyebrows. We can't say, oh, well, the shape of the eye and the facial expressions. But this is menacing. This is menacing in a way that we immediately understand.
It's because it's, it's up from up high, it's looking down, the head unit is tilted downwards, the angle implies dominance.
Anthropomorphized characters are animals and objects that have human characteristics. And this is easily one of the first things that we can look to. But I want us to try to think of it from a different point of view. I want us to actually put a different lens on this and stop thinking of it and not think of it throughout Nausicaa and throughout some of our other films that we're going to watch as anthropomorphized objects. What I want to move us onto is starting to think of it as animism. Just so that we have this in here. Talking about animism is a supernatural power that organizes and gives life to the material universe and everything, including human beings, plants, objects, and natural phenomena in it. All right, so we think of animism as a worldview that there's some supernatural power that is giving life to everything in our world, not just us, plants, animals, rocks, trees, things, a chair, natural phenomenon, hurricanes, lightning, thunder. Not only does Sana's chair have a soul and a spirit and a little demigod that exists in it, but then there is this overall, the spirit of chairs in general, the great chair god. I hope it's a rocking chair, personally. And it's just kind of like, yep. Have a seat. You know, that's what I would like to think. That we have this. One of the first things that we're going to notice with this, and I am making generalizations. We don't have time, and it's not really the purview of this class to get super specific and all of the quirks, quiddities, and sects of animism in Japan. But overall, when we're looking at this, we're seeing a sacredness of nature. All right? This idea of the sacredness of nature, and I just talked about it a little bit, the spirits of all things. There are lesser spirits, there are greater spirits, there are gods, greater gods, humans. We all exist in nature, all right, in the universe as a whole. A part of the way of thinking about this is,
Well, they're given a human-like quality, so we can relate to it. We're not a chair, so we can't really relate to a chair.
and this is the gap that I want us to start to understand with animism, is that all things have this spirit. All things have this life force within them. That's the idea of when we're done tonight, I want you to get up, thank the chair for supporting you throughout, thank the room as we leave, thank the building, right? And we kind of laugh, but this is an animistic point of view. This is a worldview that is practice. The idea of having things around your home, and when you no longer need them, you thank them for providing you with joy and entertainment and sentimental fulfillment, and then you get rid of them, and they go on to do that with somebody else. So when we look at human beings, God, and nature, this is certainly one way of viewing that. It's probably one that we're more familiar with, at least in this classroom, right? And so this is the very Western, one God of all things, Abrahamic point of view that we tend to have. That there is a God who created humans and rules over humans and nature, or rules over man, man rules over nature, so by proxy, God has dominion over nature. This top-down hierarchical view that we see, and the one God view. Another way of viewing it, and this is sort of the rationalist thought, the contemporary rationalist thought, is that there are human beings, and we have dominion over nature, and we have dominion over the theological idea of God, whether you are a believer in whatever God or not. It's the understanding that human beings have a belief in a God or not, that we are the agents of action in the universe. So we really have dominion over nature, God, the universe, and these are really sort of on equal terms. The rationalist thought point of view. We get to folk animism, or folk Japanese animism. And folk Japanese animism, folk animism is not by any means a derogatory term. I'm not using folk in order to say quaint or precious or like, look at you, animism, that's nice. It's just the kind of academic term that we use. The folk animistic point of view is incredibly different. It's this idea that the nature exists, and humans and gods, we're all just kind of mixed up in there together. All spirits. I mean, what are gods other than just a different type of spirit, a different type of soul? All right, a different sort of existence. And that these are all sort of existing simultaneously within nature itself. So this animistic point of view is the one that I want us to sort of look to and understand and see a little bit better. Specific God that I want us to understand about spirits, that I want us to keep in mind, Fujin, who is the sort of Shinto god of wind, very often depicted as maybe a little scary, we would think. Green-skinned, leopard-skinned, often with sort of upturned fangs and horns. Kind of a spooky-looking guy at first glance, but overall not a bad guy. Shinpu is the other idea of sort of a divine wind, sort of the divine wind that the spirits bring with them. So in our animation, Miyazaki and other animations, when we see spirits and gods and things like that walking around and the ground blossoms around them, the forest god in Mononoke, things like that. Or just a god showing up and all of a sudden it's a nice spring day around them. This is sort of, that's what this is. It's that divine wind that is around them. Kazeno Kame is fortunate wind. All right, so it's this idea of the winds that bring good fortune. It was also a very specific spirit, and there's a lot of the more open plains of Japan, and we see this in the idea of harnessing this fortunate wind. So when we look at the windmills of the Valley of the Wind, that this is the way that they make their living, start to understand this idea, the Kaze no Kame.